recently on Twitter this old video of, I believe, when Bo Burnham was promoting the movie Eighth Grade that he directed, which I'd highly recommend anyone see. He was asked about capitalism more broadly, or I guess he brought it up, and how social media companies play into the next stage of how capitalism is trying to conquer every part of the world, and it won't stop. And it's already, as he makes this point in the video, colonized as much land as capitalism possibly can. And their new frontier is your mind and your attention.
They're coming for every second of your life. That's what these companies are coming to. This company as well. And it's not because anyone is bad. It's not because anyone in this company has evil plans or is trying to do this. They're not even doing it consciously. It's because these companies like Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and everything, they went public and they went to shareholders. So they have to grow. Their entire models are based off of growth. They cannot stay stagnant. Twitter grossed $4-5 billion last year. It is in the red. It is unprofitable. It has to get more of you. No matter how nice it's trying to be, it is all that they're trying to get more engagement from you. We used to colonize land. That was the thing you could expand into, and that's where money was to be made. We colonized the entire earth. There was no other place for the businesses and capitalism to expand into, and then they realized human attention, that they are now trying to colonize every minute of your life. That is what these people are trying to do. Every single free moment you have is a moment you could be looking at your phone and they could be gathering information to target ads at you. That's what's happening. So like, as much as we can, have really good conversations and try to humanize the conversations, the mechanism of the business is rolling towards that just because of the market. So like, it's coming. It's coming for every free second you have. And that's dark. That's really, really dark and scary. And for someone like me, I grew up a little bit on the internet, and I felt the repercussions of it. I suffer from anxiety. So I know where it leads. And I'm saying, you don't want this. Trust me. You're not going to feel good about yourself. And you know it. The kids know it. The whole joke on the internet is everyone's like, this place sucks, right? I mean, that's kind of the thing. That's why their memes are all ironic and detached and self-referential and 12 layers deep, because truth is completely dead to them and they know it.
Yeah, I mean, that hit me on a certain level, because I decided I was going to stay off social media yesterday, because I feel like my levels of anxiety are just heightened by it constantly. And I mean, that's just me personally, but I know a lot of people feel that way. And I mean, the point about it not being a conscious choice by, say, I don't know, if you're interested in tech and you choose to work for Meta or you choose to work for another social media company. Yeah, I mean, it is incumbent upon us to not place blame on the individuals here. But when there's a conversation about how now that edgelord Elon took Twitter private, and it's private billions as opposed to, I don't know, just investor billions, that's going to be incredibly liberatory and a free speech utopia where we're all exchanging ideas in this beautiful marketplace. Just understand that this is just a rebranding effort for this particular set of billions of dollars controlling your time and your and your energy and your mental health, because it enriches certain people. So there's no actual distinction between the two. It's all just consumption under capitalism.
I mean, just look at who Elon Musk brought in. I mean, right away, the first people he bring in are his fellow, not billionaire, because there's not too many of them, but his fellow millionaire venture capitalist friends, the PayPal mafia, like David Sachs. And he brings in Jason Calacanis, and, all these other various...
The anti-Chesabudin agitator.
Right.
Did he also bring in Andreessen Horowitz?
People from Andreessen Horowitz he's brought in. These are the people who are now part of Elon Musk's confidants running Twitter.
And look at how
of course you look at You look at the money that he got it from with the Saudis and various big banks. I mean, the big banks literally just came out. I think like Bank of America or JP Morgan, I forgot which one, literally came out and like on their balance sheets the other day admitted that they gave Elon Musk the money fully expecting to lose it, all because there is power in controlling this website.
Yeah. I just want to highlight, but echo everything that was said before me and add to it a little bit. This is my first time seeing that Bo Burnham clip, but I would even go further to say we're, I mean, I guess he says it too, but we're already in a darker place than he perhaps realizes. And the way that we talk about the internet and social media kind of, to me, like highlights this, because people will uncritically like call Twitter or Facebook the internet. Like, as somebody who grew up on the internet, grew up like going to websites and like going to different people's like who create content like website, like the way people refer to Twitter as though like a single website on the internet that happens to, what's I'm looking for, collate or like, conglomerate content as though like it's the entire internet. And, largely speaking, Twitter, Facebook, a handful of other social media sites, and Google have managed to carve out their space for themselves in people's mind where it's like, how many people only surf the web using Twitter or Facebook apps now versus like actually going to URLs. I remember being on newgrounds.com all day. I remember, going on Channel Awesome to watch the Nostalgia Critic. People don't do that stuff anymore because slowly over the past 10 or so years, companies like Facebook and Twitter have encouraged people like, you don't need your own website. You don't need your own thing. You can just run your business entirely on our site. That, it'll be for free. It'll be a great way to get, people's attention. You can just do it like on this platform. Don't worry about the traditional methods that people like build businesses. And, at the end of the day, like it worked. It worked. A lot of people, I remember the pivot to video that destroyed a lot of companies like staff, like when HuffPo pivoted to video because Facebook was like doing, juicing the numbers or whatever, allegedly, so that people thought it was more profitable than it was. And then that just ended one day and everyone lost their jobs. And that's the kind of like place we found ourselves in because people have become very reliant on these sites entirely to surf the web for convenience. Like they're a very convenient way to surf the web. And there's only kind of like a sliver of people, I think, who grew up like surfing the web before like the web was entirely mediated by like your mother and your father getting Facebook app for the first time and suddenly being able to use the web, or like, Zoomers now just growing up with it like that. So, I mean, I think in the end, Facebook kind of like sold itself as a way to like keep track of your friends, keep track of like parties, like store your memories. But like Bo Burnham said, it's like, no, Facebook changed the way you keep memories. Facebook changed the way you make friends. Twitter changed the way you find information and consume information. And now people don't realize that they've substituted the entirety of the internet for Twitter, and they don't know how to use the internet except for via Twitter. And that's just a problem, even if you acknowledge that Twitter is a good place to do certain things.
Well, they've become a kind of monopolistic middlemen for any kind of access to what is now just broadly called the internet. And part of that too was when the internet was at its outset, it was a way to create universality for communication and for information and things like that. But now these mega corporations have created monopolies on the production of content as a way to expand just what is able to be monetized in our society. So now it's like this is not tangible products. These are as consumers and producers of social media content, we are both the consumers and the producers, to reiterate myself. But the point is that what the product then is, as he said, your mind and your attention. And that is like a way to think about social media use that extends to like a larger critique of capitalism, as he says, and one that is scarier because it's so much more insidious.
Well, I mean, the problem is like and particularly like the Greenwald type that critique tech as if like it's all the employees that have gone woke. What Burnham is saying is the important thing, which is like it's not the structure, or it's not the workers, employees. It's the structure of capitalism and investors needing to get their take out of the money they invest, and it's just how investing like. it's not true that there aren't bad people involved here. Investors, as a class, are maybe the most psychopathic class of people in world history, and they ruin things like this because, again, like look at Elon comes in, and the only thing we're thinking about is, oh yeah, how can we fix this? Meaning, how can we make this turn a profit? Which is not the problem that anybody has with Twitter. Like the problem is all like I think a lot of maybe there's certain heavy-handed censorship. I would say that's probably on things like Palestinian rights and stuff like that. I'm not super concerned with
that's been documented
with the needs of like people to be able to like spread misinformation about a pandemic. I think any sort of platform has a certain responsibility about things like that. But the alternative model is Wikipedia. Like Wikipedia it asks you for donations. It doesn't need to grow and grow and grow because it doesn't need to hit metrics that are going to make investors that want it to grow into a monopoly happy, which is that's why this sort of a rush for attention is there. And this is like common. The concept in Marxism is enclosure. This is like colonization of land. But also there's an enclosure of, we used to do a whole lot of work at our homes and then we moved to the factories in the 1900s. That's a different type of enclosure. And enclosure of attention is the exact same thing. And if I could look up one thing from like CIA files, it'd be what they are like and what DHS and all these folks think about the attention economy, because it really is geared at as much attention as possible toward, I think, like anodyne and depoliticized things.
Well, that is an interesting point because I was, Glenn Greenwald was tweeting about how Elon Musk really is sticking it to the deep state by purchasing Twitter, and he's really going to shake things up. Let's be clear that Elon Musk literally does deals with the deep state, and he has been...
in terms of tech folks?
Yeah, SpaceX and he was SpaceX was in negotiations, and I'm trying to find the article right now in relation to Ukraine, and he was like, Musk, Musk was SpaceX, right?
Oh, so, you think of Starlink, yeah.
But he was mad about
his
that.
satellite internet service, Starlink, where basically the United States government and a number of other governments are paying him, or I should say Starlink, millions and millions and millions of dollars, while Elon Musk and Starlink take all the credit of getting these Starlink hardware and services over to Ukraine.
Yeah,
and I mean also that really is a bizarre take for anyone on the right who's anti-deep state or whatever, because their whole thing is like, Ukraine is in bed with Biden administration, and here Elon Musk is giving free internet service to Ukraine. Specifically for their military to use, I should add, because there are people who live in Ukraine who come out and say, we're not getting any of this, or we have to pay for Starlink. What are people talking about? This is free.
Right.
He's literally just giving Starlink is just being provided to Ukrainian government and military. It's not like the people there who probably lost their internet access and couldn't get in touch with family and friends. It's not like Elon Musk ran in to save them so they could tell people that they're alive. No one cared about them. They had to pay for this service themselves.
And what's amazing too is just, and just a quick aside, Brandon, is just like, as we talk about how social media is colonizing your mind, or as Burnham brought that up, I mean, Elon Musk talking about how we need to occupy or like colonize Mars. It's such a red herring, because as he talks about that in these grand kind of ridiculous notions, they're literally doing that just on Earth, but in a more subtle way with your attention.
I think letting. Oh, I'm sorry, Brendan. You were saying something.
No, go ahead.
And I'll say it. Okay, I was going to say we're literally letting one guy pollute the space around planet Earth with these giant ugly ass satellites to enrich himself. Like, that should be, if anything, a government funded operation so that anyone would be able to use these satellites to get the service.
But
instead we're letting Elon Musk own these freaking satellites that are wait till we actually do, we're probably not going to be alive for this, but wait for the world to actually be at a place where we do utilize outer space, and we have to deal with all this fucking trash that Elon Musk is filling the space with, outer space with.
I was just going to say, I think that all great points. And just to Matt's point too, I don't think it's worth letting, the social media companies off the hook, because we know that, like, along with engineers, they hire people like social scientists, they hire people like social psychologists, like all marketing companies do, with the purposes of trying to better use your data and better, manipulate you into being a better consumer on social media and of the ads on social media. So it's not as though they're like just passively, creating dinosaurs in order to have like a nice theme park. It's, they're actively trying to make you a better consumer of social media, a place that's not particularly good to be on. But I would also just say, like, the more you understand like how social media makes its money, how these companies, like what these companies actually do, the more suspicious you should be of people who want you to treat them like they're free speech platforms, because that's just simply not what they're for. Like, if you want to go to a place where people are just allowed to talk about whatever they want, there are forums for that. There are BBS boards. You can make a Google Doc with your friends and do that. That's not what Twitter or Facebook is for, really. That's not how they make their money. They're very incentivized to tell people that they can use their platforms for whatever they want, because that's how they get better data. But that's certainly not what they put on their little white papers to investors. And so, like, at a certain point, you should be very suspicious when people start talking about, oh yeah, just like fully go full bore on these sites, say whatever you want, don't worry about the consequences, because we know they're going to turn your data over to the police. We know they're going to turn your data over to the FBI, maybe without a warrant, because that's simply not what they do. They're not interested in like being that for you, a free speech platform. They have no responsibility to preserve the security of your data, and they actively sell it.
It's a branding exercise. It is a way to engender trust with a specific community of people who are inclined to believe a billionaire like Elon Musk on this front. And I think it's like a narrow and short-sighted branding exercise, but it's no different from when Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook was saying that this is actually a way to connect with your friends, when it's really just a way to sell your data. It's the same thing that Elon Musk is doing, except just with like, kind of a different flavor.
No, I would also just quickly say it's also a branding exercise, not just for like the Reddit libertarians, but specifically for the content creators who are, who a subsect of are very sensitive to the precarity of their situation on these sites, because a lot of people who make content for a living rely entirely on the generosity of a Twitter or a Facebook or YouTube or Twitch to, make their living. And these sites want to continue to incentivize people to not ever look into making URLs for themselves, not ever cut out the middleman, because the convenience of having access to all of this audience is always supposed to outweigh the inconvenience of having no control over the platform you use in order to make money. And also like the various things that they do that might tank the platform themselves.
Right. Well, I will say too, like, I mean, I know that Bo Burnham, maybe people think it's cheesy how into Inside people are, but he had lyrics in that special about how the FBI killed Martin Luther King, and he has some good tendencies for I really like that special. So, not to be a cornball, but I'd encourage people check it out. All right, let's take.
Sorry. Oh, just if you guys haven't watched our interview that Sam did in early September with Jeremy Gilbert and Alex Williams. Book's called Hegemony Now: How Big Tech and Wall Street Won the World and How We Win It Back. Really touches upon a lot of this stuff about like likes and follows and stuff like that, like the new digital currency and things like that.
I was not there for this, was I?
It was first. I'm not. I think you might have been on had a wedding or something like that.
Oh.
Early September. So that's if you guys don't remember that one or didn't catch it, it's a really germane to this conversation.